What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Bleed and it's your boy Al Mack, and we're coming back with the results, the recap, UFC Vegas 24, but also the clown show, the freak fight, Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. I mean, I guess I just called it a fight. It was kind of a fight. You let me throw it to my man Al Mack. Al, how you doing tonight, dude? What did we just watch?
Oh, I don't know, man. I just took as long as we've done this show since like October, besides a couple of Saturdays, every single Saturday I've at least taken the time to, prepare for the show, with the trends and check the results and putting up the webpage and all that. Tonight was one of those things where there was just so much going on. I was glued to this train wreck, and it was just it was like an occasion where it was such a weird night with a pretty decent UFC card going on in the background basically. And let's talk about, before we get into the UFC, let's talk about this Triller Fight Club, I guess 2 from Atlanta, Georgia. It was just, I'll say this from the very start, like the set was just off compared to how cool the set looked in the first event with the Tyson Jones fight. The set was just, it looked like they were boxing in a construction site or something, and they were boxing like I've worked like production and stuff like that. It looked like they were behind the curtain of a concert. Like that's where the boxing fight was happening. You know what I mean? Like the arena was out there and they were just in the back. And whatever it was enough to keep me, the slap fight. What was that?
Hey, oh God. Al, listen, we've talked about this before. I am a fan of some good slap fighting. I mean, I'm not kidding you guys. This is not a joke. I literally one day will be the Dana White of slap fighting, okay? I will have my own organization. It will be the preeminent slap fighting organization on the planet. Mark my words, it's coming. Bleeds Slap Fighting League. Maybe I'll come up with something better than that. But either way, dude, it's going down. That shit was sick. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but that Hawaiian dude, for my money, is the best slap fighter in North America right now. I'm very familiar with him. This dude's been slapping people up and down, knocking big, fat dudes out because, I got to tell you, Al, there's one thing that I've noticed. If you're going to be a top level slap fighter, you got to come into the game very obese. You know what I mean? You need a lot of mass. You got to really have some centrifugal force to bring that mass through to find that KO shot, because that's really what you're lining up. I mean, when you think slap, I think a lot of people think, more like palm to fingers, a good smacking slap to the face. But I mean, in reality, if you're going to knock a dude out slapping them, it's about that heel, the palm heel of the hand, clipping the chin. And I got to tell you, another thing that you'll notice, got to rock a beard, my man. You need the beard to absorb, to deflect, right? Because if you don't be showing up clean shaven. You cannot be taking those slaps. I'm sorry I went off on a tangent here. I just love the slap fighting. Looks like I'm a little too late. Triller's beat me to it. Maybe we join up somewhere down the road, combine organizations. I am open to any negotiations currently. So, Al, what did you think of that? What do you think of the slap fight?
I just loved how just the way that it was shot. It was just a thing of beauty, like how they walked into the cage and they were just like, oh, now there's going to be a slap fight. And he like crawled onto it, like where a forklift was. And that's like the booth that he called the fight from. It was art. Like it was absolute nonsense, but it was art. Like that alone was almost worth the price of admission.
I mean, have we totally overlooked the fact that this thing was like officiated by Ric Flair? I mean, like Imagine something so spectacular that you can forget about the whole Ric Flair running the show. You know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah, man, that's a home run. That was a grand slam. I got to really take my hat off. I don't know if I could have done better, you know? Maybe no Pete Davidson, but other than that, man, that was some good stuff, you know? Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there, Al.
No worries, man. And Flair was, I don't know if that's how he just is, but he was either on something or he was drunk or because he was off his rocker. He was interrupting Pete Davidson. He was a loose cannon. You know, it was just and that was the theme of the night, because the next thing we were going to talk about is Oscar De La Hoya, which was
I'm glad you brought this up.
I don't even know, like, has anybody been more drunk or more intoxicated, more inebriated, more on something, you know, ever in a sporting commentary booth? Has that ever happened? Has somebody ever been that annihilated? I don't think so.
I don't know, man. It was definitely, you know, I think we're talking about a specific blend here, you know. I don't think this is one area. I think alcohol was absolutely involved. I think, you know, maybe some cocaine, if not, maybe some crystal meth. I don't know, but
cocaine. I think also marijuana, because he was really
you
silly.
know, okay, just to take the edge off, right? Yeah, I think you're right, Al. The dude was on something though. It was totally hilarious. I tweeted out right away. I almost needed to retweet like 10 minutes later, like, still this, like,
the whole fight.
Yeah, this dude is like saying some
Mir
hilarious stuff right now. I gotta be honest. I'm a fan. You know, fucked up Oscar De La Hoya. I want this to be a reoccurring character. I feel like I need 10 minutes of that between every fight if we're gonna have a production like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. What else is there to say? I guess we should get to the actual fight, huh? Let me get your take on it, Al. What did you think here? Jake Paul versus Ben Askren for the 60 seconds we saw.
You know, like just the same thing I said yesterday, where I thought I don't want to be on either side of this. I just want to be on the under. And the under came in, and it was the exact type of not the exact type of scenario, because if that was the type of scenario, I obviously would have bet on Paul inside the distance. But this is the way that I envisioned the kind of, I knew that there was either going to like end in a low blow, which was the fight before that, which is a whole other story. But I thought it was just going to end in some type of shenanigans, and it wasn't really shenanigans. It was a clean knock down. And then he was kind of stumbly after the standing 8 count, and the ref called the fight, which I thought, you know, people are paying. It was like $40 US. You know, come on, like let him go at least one more run. You let Nate Robinson technically go a little bit further than you're letting Van Askren. You know what I mean? And it's in Georgia. Like this is in the type of this is in the Wild West as far as boxing regulations go. So I thought for sure we were going to see some, you know, I was so surprised that they stopped it, but it is what it is, man. And, you know, Ben was kind of out of it. So he didn't really protest it, you know? So like there wasn't really that much of a protest, but you know, Jake Paul comes in with that same combination that he threw against Nate Robinson, where he just, you know, feints the jab and then comes in with that huge overhand. And he did it like 3 times. He tested the finish like 3 times on Askren, and then he just hit him flush. Yep. And that's going to be I don't know. That's going to be, how does Ben Askren come back from that?
Don't. That's a wrap, man. I mean, he looked so unappealing, you know, like so unmarketable in a lot of ways. Like, you know, and don't get me wrong, right? In hindsight's 2020, but I do got to say, like, this was incredible cherry picking by the Jake Paul camp to build this kid up. and probably Triller Fight Club in general. Like, so they get to essentially market this kid now as, took out a UFC fighter, an MMA champion, a guy that went 19-0 at one point in MMA, which is all true, but I mean, it's not like it's Conor McGregor where this dude's out here knocking fools out, right? I mean, it's a guy who went out there and dove on the legs of every person he fought and laid on him for 5 rounds, right? So, I mean, yeah, this guy never had hands. It turns out he still doesn't. I think he fooled a lot of people hitting those pads the other day. And, a lot of people bet on Ben Askren in this spot. Even Dana White, talking about how he's going to put all this money. I think a lot of people, fell for this narrative that because Ben Askren is the guy with the legitimate, deep, tons of ring time, in actual combat sports compared to Jake Paul, and Ben Askren's fought legit fighters, dangerous guys, a lot of guys that could and should, and a couple did. One did, Jorge Masvidal, knocked him out. So it is interesting, man. I think people thought that if Ben Askren had a shot to win this fight, he was going to have to take Jake Paul into deep waters. He was going to need to, survive the heavy barrage early on and take this fight deep, see if Jake Paul had the gas tank to maintain power to still be dangerous. And maybe at some point, Ben Askren just starts to outpace, and eventually just, overwhelm him in volume, because we know Ben Askren doesn't have knockout power in his hands at all. But yeah, man, in retrospect, even if you look at how the odds makers had things set up, I think it was probably the most obvious scenario was Jake Paul coming in here and finding the early knockout. Yeah, I'm with you, Al. I would have liked to seen it go a little bit longer, because we were about to see Ben Askren take an even more spectacular, probably just outright consciousness, losing, soul ascending, gates of Gibraltar welcoming KO. But we didn't get it. The ref gave him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, the ref even kind of let the fight start, looked at him a couple more seconds and was like, nah, we're done here. This guy's out of here. Too bad, that would have been fun. But yeah, man, Jake Paul comes in here, blows out Ben Askren, who, yeah, what is there to say? I don't think there's anything to say here, man. He was just severely outclassed, couldn't survive the early barrage. I will say this, man. I see people trying to say maybe this was rigged. Maybe Ben Askren took a dive. That wasn't no dive, okay? Jake Paul smashed this dude. Huge overhand right, 60 seconds into the fight at absolute peak freshness, peak power. I mean, there's not a better time in the fight, Jake Paul. It was the first really powered up hard shot he threw in the fight, and he just catches him clean across the jaw. It was a real fight. So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to throw in here? Where do we go next for? I mean, here's the question, right? What's next for Jake Paul? And here's what's so absolutely absurd, Al. The spectrum of who's next is there's no limitations, dude. Where do we go from here? Do you have any thoughts on that?
We say it so many times on this show. It's almost like we're making fun of ourselves when we say it, but the sky is the limit here and it's a fraud, and it's it's a bit of it's a sham, and it's boxing. That's what it is. It's good old boxing. So they could build this guy up to be 19, 20-0 and have never actually fought an actual boxer. You know what I mean?
That isn't that the American dream?
Teddy Atlas, who's a great boxing trainer. He was Mike Tyson's classic trainer back in the day. He has a saying when he looks at somebody's record, he'll say, that guy beat a lot of different types of guys that had a lot of different things on their resumes, but at no point did anything on their resume say professional boxer, because you got. And that's just the way that it is in this business. This guy's just, when you say that, when we think that people have a padded record in MMA, let me tell you about in boxing.
Oh,
because
boy. No kidding, man.
But that's he can really get the we can see he can go and find another Ben Askren I'm sure if we brainstormed right now, we could probably think of somebody else, you know, that, you know, the what is it? The Dylan Dennis, right?
Okay, there you go. That's the obvious answer, right? I think that's what they were actually trying to get for this fight.
I think he's way more game than Ben Askren, especially being, you know, in that what is it, the SGS, like Connor's training camp. You know, those guys.
SPG Ireland.
Yeah. So you know, it's some high level striking. It's not what Ben Askren was doing on Thursday afternoon.
I mean, Dylan Dennis also is another guy that, you know, there's a reason why they're cherry picking these guys. And, you know, Dylan Dennis, a very accomplished jiu-jitsu artist, you know, another guy that's been brought up essentially only working submissions, that only in the last couple years has begun to even work on striking, you know, as he's become a professional mixed martial artist.
Isn't he only like 2-0?
That's what I'm getting at, Al. I mean, we're talking also about another guy, you know, who doesn't even have the MMA experience of a Ben Askren, hasn't even been in there with dangerous guys like Ben. You know, Ben Askren beat a lot of really dangerous guys in his careers, high-level strikers, you know, but the reason he beat them is because he never stood with them, right? The Dylan Dennis spot is because it's a guy who has limited striking, and they think Jake Paul's going to have an edge. I mean, Al, the one thing that I was sure of coming into this matchup, which, dude, I wasn't sure about a whole lot because this was such an interesting matchup, right, coming into it. But here's what I know, man. Triller, this company, this promotion, Jake Paul is their meal ticket, okay? This guy is, you know, the face of this organization now, and they're going to continue to absolutely cherry pick, hand select every person that they let him get in there with, because what they're looking to get is a Mike Tyson scenario. I think at this point, they're going to try to continue to rack up these early quick wins. You know, can Jake Paul do it again? That's going to be the new marketing, right? And if it's not, Triller, hit me up. I got the game plan. You know, 20%. No problem. We'll get this popping off. I know exactly how to market this kid. What do you think, Al? You think that's what that's probably going to be the deal, right? They're going to try to just start lining up bodies for Jake Paul to get in there. Names that are known, you know, have at least some credibility. You know, people that we at least can consider fighters or former fighters. And so I don't see him getting in there and knocking out Pee Wee Herman. You know what I'm saying? I think we're actually going to get him some true what we would consider fighters or former professional fighters. What do you think, Al?
Well, this is the thing, and this is like some, you know, this is, you know, you're just absolutely turning boxing into a disgrace, which is, like I said earlier, that's what boxing is.
Boxing has done a really good job of doing that on their own too,
for the last 145 years. But a couple things, because we've talked about this way longer than we should have already. But yeah, exactly. And just like what you said, that they're just gonna find big names. And this is the thing, is that he's going to find a way to continue to fight MMA fighters that are moving to boxing, because that's a handicap. Right? Because he is the boxer and they are transitioning from MMA. He will not fight an actual boxer because he'll get beat. He will fight.
No. I mean, we're not talking about Canelo Alvarez is next. Like, you know, not a chance, right?
And like he'll fight. I already thought of it. He should fight Tyron Woodley.
Whoa, dude. Oh man, Al, I tell you what, Al, that's actually pretty good, dude.
He was in his corner tonight. Woodley was in Askren's corner tonight.
You know what? Tyron Woodley blew it tonight. Tyron Woodley should have pulled the dickhead move and, like, during the celebration, you know, like, made a scene. Jake Paul, I want you next.
Yeah.
I'll beat your ass. And then the song plays like it's WWE. Falling in and out of love. Yeah, that's what starts playing. No, that's not bad. Man, it makes me wonder though. Like, Tyron Woodley at least fought. Tyron Woodley almost knocked out Vicente Luque.
Yeah, if Woodley threw and landed one of those punches that he hit Luque with, there would be no more Jake Paul. That would be the end. Dude. That would be the end.
You know what? I'll actually, that's too much, bro. I don't think Jake Paul wants. I don't think. Listen. I've been telling everybody for a long time that Tyron Woodley is donezo. That Jake Paul does not want that Tyron Woodley smoke yet. I can tell you that. Let Tyron get a little bit older, a little bit slower, and maybe we'll talk about it in a couple years or something. What do you think, Al? Should we move on to this UFC 24 recap?
Just one more quick thing about this, because this is the new thing, and if you saw it, the next Triller is headlined by freaking Teofimo Lopez, who is he's the lineal lightweight champion in boxing. Like, he is a legitimate star in boxing. So they're no longer just doing celebrity boxing. Yeah. He's fighting a title fight.
Yeah, dude, Teofimo Lopez fully legitimizes everything. He's
the guy who beat Lomachenko to take his belt. You know what I mean? Like, this is real incredible. Deal.
Wow. Damn. They got some money then. If they're paying Teofimo. Who did he fight?
He fights, they had him on the broadcast, George Kambosos, who's Australian.
Wow.
I'll probably botch his name, but they were it's in Miami. It's at the Dolphin Stadium.
Yeah.
June 5th. So that's
no, that ought to be pretty good.
And I think that's the card that's going to have.
The chat. Shout out to Jake C in the chat. Is it going to be another 4-hour concert? Definitely yes. Tell me you weren't loving Al. I know. Listen, guys, there's one thing I know for sure. Al Mack gets down to Justin Bieber. Al, tell me, what'd you think of the performance? I know you saw it.
It was all right. It wasn't. I didn't hate it.
I don't know. Listen, I'm just getting that. There's a lot of concert performance stuff. I don't know, but hey, let Triller do their thing. I'm sure it's all good for the algorithm, right?
It's like it's like taking drugs, going to a strip club. That's also a fight. That's also a festival. That's also a fight again. That's also a strip club. That's also a festival. And that's your night for about 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And the fighting is just going to, what they need to do. And I thought about this as well. Why don't they have Triller MMA?
Damn.
Get Phil Davis in there. Or not Phil Davis, Paul Daly. Get Paul Daly in there.
Al, now you deserve 10%. You know what, though? Here's why, Al. That's just such a... honestly, it'd be a nightmare for them, for somebody to go in there and just lay and prey on somebody. Like on the celebrity level, it needs to be people standing and banging. They need KOs. They need forced fighting. The ultra casual public doesn't understand takedowns, wrestling, leg kicks. They want to see two people go in there and punch each other in the face.
Yeah, that's true. But we can still have these ridiculous circus fights and mix it in with high level boxing, because that's what's gonna make boxing popular. And that's
Al, dude, you're probably right, man. At this point, maybe Triller is the future of boxing. It's more of a social media entertainment event.
Yeah, right? It's like wrestling.
As opposed to I'm watching a sporting event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Bam. I think we just nailed it right there. You know what? That's a wrap. We got it figured out. Triller, 20% done deal. All right. Moving on to you. Let's figure this out for Dana White now. Moving on to UFC, UFC Vegas 24. Yeah. So to kick off the main card, man. Oh, dude, I'm so pissed off. I mean, first off, let's just get into this real quick. I know we usually only go over the main card, but tonight, the judging stole the show. And you know what? I would say that, but you know what? I'm not going to do my man Robert Whittaker. I'm not going to do my man Bobby Nux like that. The reffing was atrocious, right? The judging was atrocious. The reffing was so-so. So first off, let's just look back here. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we had 4 split decisions in a row, Al.
Yeah.
And
some of them were just ridiculous.
Okay. First off, let's start it off. Jessica Pena versus Lupita Godinez. Okay. You gotta be kidding me, dude. Lupita Godinez won that fight. And in my eyes, it wasn't close, okay? Jessica Pena had landed virtually nothing that mattered on the feet. Just any stand-up, uninvolved, okay? Here's what she did have. Back control, was essentially backpack Lupita for a while. Attempted some submissions. By the way, none of them were ever locked in. None of them were ever close. None of them ever really threatened to finish the fight. Meanwhile, Lupita Godinez, huge, dominant, rocking shots, punches, right? Some of the craziest slams we've ever seen in UFC history. Al, she straight up power bombs Jessica Pena at one point. The power bomb, it's unreal.
The last ride.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. It is a little bit different. That's exactly what it is, Al. Dude, I was absolutely baffled. Listen, I was stunned when it was a split decision. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I was baffled when it actually was Jessica Pena who won. I have MMA decisions pulled up here, right? And I'm honestly blown away that any media members actually scored it for Pena, because 6 of them did. 6 of them scored it for Pena, but 11 scored it for Godinez. Yet somehow 2 out of 3 judges. I don't see it, dude. To me, it was not close. Al, what did you think of that fight? I know we usually don't get into the prelims like that, but this one was ridiculous to me.
Well, I'll do you one further. The next fight. Next fight that ended with the groin strike, the accidental groin strike, which is just classic MMA, classic just right up the UFC and MMA's alley.
What are we going to do about these groin strikes? What are we going to do about these eye pokes? It's killing. It's just what are we doing? I feel like it's like baseball before they figured out, like, hey, you know what? The batters should wear helmets. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we're just like still too early in the sport. I don't know if we need to work on the cup technology and just make it so maybe the dudes need to go in there wearing the amateur boxing, the padded diapers. You know what I'm talking about, Al? Like the weird,
of course,
big like hip. I don't know though. That'd really throw wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like some weird twists. Kicks would be tough. I don't know, dude. And then eye pokes. I don't know what to think, but yeah, dude. Like, so Alexander Romanov wins this fight, right? Here's the deal. I'm going to cut the judges a break on this one, in my opinion. And here's why. I don't know personally how I even scored that fight, okay? I felt like one of the rounds was clearly Romanov. Not even clearly. Both rounds were close. I felt like one round was Romanov, one round was Espino, and then basically that 1 minute of a third round, which was scored as a whole round.
Yeah.
I don't know how you score that round, because the only thing that happened in that round of significance is the bad groin shot. It felt like Espino was winning the round up to that point, but then you say to yourself, like, in a round where not a lot happens, essentially nothing to score, do you like make a guy go negative because he hit a guy with an illegal shot, even though it's unintentional?
Well, you can't do that.
I think you're exactly right, which really that scenario seems to be the only scenario where Romanov wins this fight.
But that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened.
Unless, I guess, 2 judges gave the first 2 rounds to Romanov and then gave Espino the third. I don't know, dude. You know what? I'm going to look at the scorecards right now while I have it brought up. Let me take a look, because I can see exactly what these judges scored. So
it was 29-28, 28-29.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And then 29-28. Yeah.
Dave Hagen scores the first 2 for Romanov. Chris Lee, who scored the fight for Espino, gave Espino the first and the third. And then Tony Weeks scores it the first 2 rounds for Romanov.
I don't know how anybody could score the third round. The third round for Romanov. You know that, because that even with the groin strike, you're not, you can't make up rules as you're judging. You can't, implement your own way of fixing things, just because it was a accidental groin strike. Like,
Yeah.
that was baffling to me. The way that you feel about Pena, I thought for sure. And they even said in the broadcast as they were throwing to the decision, they're like, oh, it looks like, as unfortunate as it is, it looks like Espinoza is going to win this fight.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. Which, the commentators, I swear to God, they're the kiss of death, dude. Sometimes, how often do we hear a commentator be like, and it looks like whoever's going to get the nod, and the judges are like, you don't even know who the fuck we are, do you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just like, dude, have you done this before? Watch this shit.
Okay, but let's lead now into the main card, because even this Luis Pena fight.
Oh, dude.
Alex Munoz, I don't think that it was a close fight, but I think that for that to be a split decision, I don't think that was a split decision. What do you think?
I think I'm mad as hell, dude, because check this out. I had a bet on Romanov, and I cashed that, and I was like, damn, that's pretty lucky. I could have seen them totally giving that to Espinoza. I mean, one judge did, right? Dude, I watched Munoz pretty clearly win the first 2 rounds, okay? Now, Luis Pena, the 3rd round was very close, but I think Luis Pena probably won the 3rd, okay? Now, I got no problem with that, but Munoz won the first 2 rounds. I mean, literally had takedowns, landed the better strikes. Here's what's so goddamn dumb. Luis Pena is in there, like, clowning, like, acting like he's dominating this fight, that I'm like, somebody should let this guy know that he probably lost the first 2 rounds of this fight. Like, this is not the time to, like, showboat and act like you're this is some, like, dominant Anderson Silva performance or something. Like, it, dude, incredibly disappointing. This is the one that honestly drives me well, we saw a couple sketchy ones, but, dude, this one was just absolutely nuts. What'd you think of this, Al?
I thought I saw it the other way, man. I guess that the way that they had it was they gave the first round to Munoz, and then the dissenting judge, that's where they're split, right? The 29-28 on the second round.
It came down to the second round. Sal D'Amato and Rick Winters scored the second round for Pena, and Michael Bell, who scored the fight for Munoz, scored it for Munoz. But they all 3 agreed that Munoz won round 1 and that Pena won round 3. It's that second round it came down to. I mean, listen, it's another one of those fights where I thought it's pretty clear. Like, the media would probably be unanimous on Munoz. Five media members did score it for Munoz, but also we have 11 who scored, or 5 media members scored it for Pena, and 11 scored it for Munoz. So, I mean, 1 out of every 3 media members score it for Pena, but somehow 2 out of 3 judges.
Did you have a bet?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm willing to admit it was a close fight. I had a bet on Munoz. I thought Munoz was going to come in here, use a wrestle-heavy game plan, which he did. I will say this, and here's the improvement that absolutely won Luis Pena this fight: his get-up game. I talked about earlier this week that we've seen Pena be complacent, except being on his back. Dude, he's over that now. He's realized the faults in his ways. That dude got taken down multiple times in this fight, but he immediately worked to get up and had very, very good technique. I mean, Munoz is a high-level wrestler. Pena just got up every time. So I got to give Pena that. That's absolutely what won him this fight. A close fight, but, man, I thought Munoz won. I had an underdog bet on him, good plus money. I thought I was going to cash it. I thought I should have cashed it. Media members agree with me, but that's this game, and tonight that's why we're talking about this fight, right? Split decision, 4 in a row, and we still got another one to talk about. What do you think, Al? Do you got anything to add to this, or do we talk about the next split decision?
Yeah, let's talk about this next.
You kick it off.
Yeah, this is another one. Just to start off, I don't understand why this fight. Well, I actually do understand, but I don't get why they moved this fight up when, like, everybody was clearly wanted to see Alexander Romanov and Espino, because that was the one you could just tell that everybody had circled was going to be a banger. and they moved that up to the the prelim main card, like main event, and then they put the Tracy Cortez fight on the main card after Jeremy Stevens and Drakkar Klose, and we'll get into that at some point before we're done here. But yeah, the reason is because they just try to market Tracy Cortez. She's just one of those. They just got her eye on her. They just want to have cameras on her. They just like that. They just like her.
Very marketable.
Yeah, exactly. And this was one where I didn't think should have been a split decision either. And I had Kish on the money line.
Sure. But
I was just like, there's no way that Kish won this fight. And when they said a split decision, I was just like, what? It's like some nights they just choose to interpret the way that they do the judging, the way that they do the tiers of how they judge the. I'm trying to. What's the word when they're looking at it from the. They always talk about at the beginning the main thing is striking, right? It's who's doing the most damage. The criteria. Sorry, yes, exactly. So the way that they interpret the criteria changes every single from week to week. And it used to be that way, like you would see it in Houston or in Virginia, where they would just be like, they don't know, they're not interpreting the criteria properly. They don't know what it is. They're looking at this through the eyes of boxing. Where a classic example is like the Dominic Reyes fight, which was in Houston, and the guy moving forward isn't winning the rounds because they're interpreting it that it's this defensiveness and the strike here and there they value that for some reason more. And this is just back in the day, like in pre-pandemic, this is how it was. It was from state to state. There was just these weird decisions and weird interpretations, but now it just keeps happening. Sometimes once every few weeks, you know what I mean? You just have these and tonight was
Alex, as simple as this, dude. We had 4 fights in a row tonight where the people whose job it is to tell you who won could not agree who won. Yeah. That's insane, dude. That's just it just goes to show that not only does criteria change geographically, it changes depending on what human being sitting in that seat watching that fight. And there just seems to be a disconnect, which I can tell you, this is a real deal thing. I've been to a lot of UFC events, okay? There is a difference between standing there, sitting there in person, and viewing a fight from one single viewpoint than there is seeing it on TV where everything's constantly moved with multiple angles, and we're seeing the fight very clearly from an optimized angle, right? Those judges are not seeing that, okay? They're sitting there cage side looking through the fence, looking up at the fighters, you know what I mean? And one thing we know, in human nature, man, that perspective is everything, right? And it's just apparently there's just that perception changes enough to change entire fight outcomes regularly, because we see this week in, week out, and tonight, my God, it reared its ugly head, and we just had some horrendous decisions, in my opinion. I don't know what to think about this one, Al. I had Cortez in a Hail Mary parlay. I thought she probably won this fight, but Al, man, according to the media members, this was the closest of all the split decisions. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scored it Cortez, 1 scored it a draw, and then 5 of them scored it for Kish. So pretty close as far as media members. But then again, who cares about media members too? You know what I mean? They're people who are involved in the sport, right? They're people who should know what they're looking at, should know how to score a fight, and a lot of them do. And a lot of them, I've even interacted with on Twitter. They are people that know their stuff. But I mean, that's just the problem in this sport, man. What do you do in a scenario where winners are decided based on opinion. Like, that's just so not the way sports work, you know? Like, every other sport, it's about points. And that's just not this game at all. So we should probably move on, right? That, thank God, is the end of the split decisions. Here's one that, listen, I don't care if you were blindfolded, you know, in a bunker and weren't even watching the fight. This was a clear-cut decision. Jacob Malkoun, as a huge underdog, goes in here and absolutely dominates Abdul, Razak, Alhassan. Oh my God, Al, let me just start it off with this. The parlay of the week, right? A parlay that I have only lost one UFC event this entire 2021 year. The most incredible, bankable, profitable bet in combat sports history has lost. I trusted Abdul Razak Alhassan. Oh my God, what have I done, Al? This dude comes in here and puts on the bum performance of his life. My man cannot defend a takedown. But I got to say this, Al. The people that back Jacob Malkoun, props to you, because you know what? This is a guy that I actually said in his UFC debut. I took a lot of flack for this. I picked Jacob Malkoun to beat Phil Hawes when he came into the UFC. I watched the tape on this guy in the Australian circuit, right? And I said, this guy's got good hands, good wrestling, and a heavy top game, okay? Now he goes out there against Phil Hawes and gets dusted in 10 seconds. It's just a non-event, right? People go, oh, this guy's a bum. He's nobody. And then you look at this matchup, right? Coming in here against Abdul Razak Alhassan, that's what this dude does. He dusts people in the first round. We just base too much off Malkoun's most recent performance that honestly could happen to anybody. You know, anybody can eat a big punch and get taken out in this game. Malkoun comes in here, shows the best wrestling in the entire New Zealand, Australia area, and dominates Abdul Razak Alhassan, a huge favorite, blows my parlay of the week. Al, it's your time to shine, buddy. Let the people know about that Malkoun bet you had.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I was if it was any other fighter would have been on the other side. But Abdul Razak Alhassan is just one of those guys who is on my fade to death list. And listen to this. Okay, so he's had 8 fights now in the UFC. If you've bet $100 on his opponent to win by decision in all 8 of those fights, $100, you're up $1,508 tonight, because he's lost 3 of those 8 fights by decision. And
he's lost his last 3 fights by decision, correct?
No, he got knocked out by what's his name? Oh
yeah,
and
that's right.
But yeah, he had he's had 2. The decision prior to this one was the same exact scenario as this, where he was a heavy favorite and the guy just wrestled him. And I can't remember who it was, but
Munoz.
Yes, and he cashed. He was like plus 375.
Yeah,
he cashed
he's underdog,
but he cashed it like 10-1 on the decision.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that was one of those. This is just like the way that I would handicap. This is the way that I approach this. Where if I was on Lizez in that fight, so now if I'm moving forward, I have to think of it as you're kind of playing with house money, because you cash at like a plus 375. So now you have, if you win or lose, your next bet, you got 3.75 units to play with. So your next bet, win or lose, you're covered. So it's the type of thing where it's just like, just let it ride. Just keep fading this guy, because I don't think we'll see him again, to be honest.
Al, I don't think we're getting a fade spot in the UFC again. I mean, we're talking about a guy, weight misses over and over, losing streak, terrible PR outside the octagon. I'm not even going to get into that. He beat that, so let's not even go there. But let's keep it real. He hasn't been the same guy. You look at his career. Look at the outside the octagon stuff. This guy was a knockout machine, a guy getting ready to hit the prime algorithm in the UFC marketing machine, going out there dusting dudes in the first 60 seconds. I mean, Nico Price, some of these guys he's knocked out, these are legit wins. These are high-level dudes. You know what I mean? And now this guy's just a shell of his former self. And yeah, a guy that at this point, I mean, unless they get him in there against a dude with no takedown ability whatsoever, chinny as can be, yeah, this dude is definitely in a fade position at this point because he just got so exposed. This dude's got Israel Adesanya level takedown defense. Real pathetic stuff, man. What do you think? Do you have anything to say more about this fight before we move on?
No, just wherever he goes, I'll follow him and I'll bet against him.
You got a fan in Al, baby. Al and Alhassan, a match made in fade heaven. All right. Well, our new co-main event, because we lost Jeremy Stephens versus Drakkar Klose. Should we even go there, Al? Should we even go there with my man Jeremy? Should we even go there with Ariel Helwani not crediting your boy Bleed for breaking to the MMA world that Drakkar Klose was injured by the shove he received from Jeremy Stephens? Yeah, let's go there real quick. Yeah, so the fight just didn't happen, right? Drakkar Klose claims he kind of like whiplashed his neck. Pinch nerve situation. He's all screwed up. Doctors call the fight off. We don't get the fight. Here's your new co-main event. We got Andrei Arlovski going up against Chase Sherman. Al, guess what? Guess what happened, dog? Your boy Bleed was one of the only dudes. I was like on an island. People were leaving comments on my video, like on my prediction video earlier this week. They're like, dude, you're the only guy taking Andrei Arlovski. And I was like, okay, good. Because when you have a guy like Chase Sherman who's in that underdog spot, he's kind of like the underdog darling of the week in like the MMA community. That dude loses every week. You know what I mean? For real. So I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. Arlovski's going to come out here. He's going to win this fight. But you know what I said to myself? I don't really want to bet on a 42-year-old heavyweight going up against a young guy like Chase Sherman. You know, Chase Sherman could come in here looking better, but you know what? He looked a little softer at weigh-ins. I think he was still the Chase Sherman we know and love. It's just that my man, Andrei Arlovski, unanimous decision win. This dude was too damn crafty, too damn good, too damn experienced. Chase Sherman was supposed to come in here with the calf kick game plan, and he did. He landed some good ones. But who was the guy who won the calf kicking game? Andrei Arlovski, no doubt. Chase Sherman late in that fight, inability to plant, inability to move forward, you know, really couldn't throw any power, had to be very upright, off the back foot. Yeah, so Al, I did not have Andrei Arlovski on my like official bet list that I send out to my Patreon members every week. I was going to put him on there. I said, you know what? Let's just play it safe. I got a lot of spots that I like. Sure enough, the judges, they gave it to me tonight. I got pissed off, and guess what? I said, you know what? Andrei Arlovski's going to win this fight. God damn it. I bet him right before it went off, and he cashes for me. Andrei Arlovski gets it done. 42 years old, still taking out these young guns. I told people he was going to do it. He goes out here and does it. Al, did you have anything on this one?
Yeah, I had Sherman, but I this is just one of those. I probably saw it quite similar to you. Just I got Sherman when he was still on the plus side, but the way that I handicapped this was the real value for me was on the over. Like the over any Andrei Arlovski fight, where besides against Tom Aspinall, but any Andrei Arlovski fight where an over 1.5 is at like minus 150 or better, bet it.
Yeah,
because this guy,
over king.
Yeah, he does like, you know, like again, apart from that Tom Aspinall knockout or chokeout, he doesn't, you know, he goes the distance so much, especially in, you know, because he's a heavyweight. The market just doesn't get it, right? When they see two heavyweights, especially lower ranked heavyweights, they just think, oh, it's going to be a barn burner. And so there's so much value on the overs. And this is just one of those fights where, you know, a small like 1% play on Sherman just with that plus money. And then I went over 1.5 and fight goes the distance. And this was like right as we were starting to get ready, right, for the clown show. So I kind of, you know, I had the TV, I turned the TV down, I kind of stopped paying attention, and it didn't matter because at that point, you know, you cash that over, you cash that plus money, fight goes the distance. So yeah, it was It is what it is. Sherman definitely did not win that fight, and
Yeah.
Arlovski. It's awesome to see her. We talked about this last time after Aspinall got knocked out, because we were just like, they're not going to get rid of him. He has entertaining fights. He's an entertaining guy. You know, he'll take a knockout if he has to. I don't think his paycheck is as big as it used to be. And we're talking about a guy,
though. You know, it's still a goodie. Woo.
Yeah, that's true. But he's a former UFC heavyweight champion, which probably very little people actually even know that for one brief moment he held the belt. But yeah, I love this dude. He's very easy to read as a fighter. And if you match him up, with the proper test, because that's basically what they're doing. And especially a card like this, where they kind of were just like, he came in on short notice, right? It was supposed to be Parker Porter.
Which, was one of the things that made me, debate and back off initially, because I really did, I literally had this one like in my notes, like I'm sending this on to the Patreon members, but then I'm like, 42-year-old man on short notice, young deadly dude, heavyweight. But it's like you said, Al, it's all about the matchup, man. And I'm thinking about this matchup, and I'm like, Chase Sherman's a guy who, got outboxed, bare knuckle boxing by Joey Beltran. Like,
didn't he get knocked out?
Yeah, like he got touched up by the boxing of Joey Beltran. I'm like, okay, calf kicks aside, Arlovski should tune this guy up, and Arlovski clearly got so much the better of the punching exchanges. Like, he's just so much better at distance. He's so good at avoiding your shots and then hitting you. And every time where they would kind of like come in and meet, continuously Chase's swinging and missing, and Arlovski's landing like a good 1-2s, 2-3s, like over and over. And that's just really the whole fight. And Arlovski put a good beating on him. And yeah, man, Chase Sherman, this is not even a step back. You know what I mean? Like, that was a good fight to take. He's he should get still a high level opponent in his next fight, I think. And Andrei Arlovski, I don't even know, man. I give him whatever he wants. Like, what? Yeah. It's not like he's gonna go on a title run. Like, it's not like. First off, I guess let's just think about how many fights is on his contract. It can't be a whole lot, but he wants to fight a few more years. He says, not a few more fights, a few more years. Dude's talking like 10 more fights. If you can beat up Chase Sherman that good, dude, I say give him whatever he wants. So
this was his
say on this one, Al, before we move on to the main event.
This was his 51st fight. He now has a record of 31-20.
Yeah, turned pro in 1998,
I think.
98. Like, there's people watching this right now who were not alive when this guy turned pro. So unreal stuff. All right, so that was your co-main, and you know what? Al, I was talking about the parlay of the week. Abdul, Razak, Alhassan blows it for me. But do you want to know who was anchoring that parlay? My man, the Robert, the Reaper, Whittaker, right? So guess what? I said, you know what? I might have lost that parlay of the week, but that's not good enough for me because Robert Whittaker is going to win this fight. But I don't want to bet my man minus 300. So you know what your boy Bleed did? Robert Whittaker by decision, and he goes out there and does it. I just felt like, that was going to be his most likely outcome here. The dude's just not really a finisher. Durable as hell, as is Kelvin Gastelum. Robert Whittaker comes in here 50-45. He's just the better striker, the better wrestler, the stronger man, the faster man, the better counters, the better boxing, the better kickboxing. Robert Whittaker is just better than Kelvin Gastelum, and I'm having trouble finding any area of the game where Kelvin Gastelum has an advantage over Robert Whittaker. Al, what did you have on this fight? I'm very happy. Robert Whittaker by decision. I think it was plus 125. Super solid prop. Usually not my style. Had to go for it. Too pissed off. Al, what did you have on this one, dude?
Well, yeah, I said it yesterday. I thought this was for sure going to go the distance. I said, in quote, it's destined to go the distance. And I thought it was going to be a little bit more, it was pretty one-way traffic. I thought it was going to be more of I said it might be fight of the year. It definitely isn't fight of the year, but it was a good fight. It was pretty
entertaining, man.
It was a nice palate cleanser, right? After
that's just what I was getting at.
But But yeah, I this is a crazy thing too. Is Whittaker has had 17 fights in the UFC. He's won 9 of them by decision. So I think, like we were talking about with Alhassan, if you've bet on him, if you bet $100 on Whittaker to win by decision in every one of his fights, $100, you're up like $2,000 now, or like 19 something. I don't have the exact thing in front of me, but he was like 1680 coming in, and now he cashed. I had him at plus 165. So
wow,
so you know, this is he goes to decision, and I talked about it yesterday too. Is he's never he doesn't get finished. The finish was that devastating finish against Izzy, and he just admittedly wasn't himself that night. And yeah, this is great. I love betting on. I love when Robert Whittaker is fighting because he's similar to Alhassan. I have not in a fade spot, but just I have like a good read on him. I can tell, you know, he just seems to. It's not like a cookie cutter. He's so measured. He knows he's so efficient. He doesn't use too much energy. I think he's learned by getting, you know, the brakes beaten off him for 10 rounds with Yoel Romero. You know, even though he won both those fights, you know, he just learned the hard way of just not wasting your energy and getting put in a bad spot where you can't fight back in those late rounds. And pretty much since he's come back from the knockout against Adesanya, he's looked amazing. And they were talking tonight. They were saying that this is possibly his best performance. I don't think this wasn't even that spectacular. It was like almost rudimentary for him. He was, you know, he was smiling. He had a smile on his face at one point. He was landing big shots, and you know, he had a smile on his face. So, him and Izzy is the fight to make now, right? Like, especially they do that in New Zealand or in Australia. That's big money. That's especially now if it's the rematch. That's a big fight, man.
Who you got?
I don't know. I got fight goes the distance. That's what I got. Okay. I don't know about the side though. It would probably be one of them by decision. That's a close, but I think that would. Now that Whittaker has learned and he isn't just going to rush in on Izzy, he would play his game and do the feint game, and pretty much what he's learned and what he's done in the past like 3 fights is, you know, play his timing game and play that cat and mouse type game with Izzy. And I think it would just be, you know, similar to that fight with Till where he's just constantly trying to counter 2 counter punchers, right? As opposed to him just coming in. Joseph coming in Joseph Benavidez
style. That technique again. We got it. There it is, right there. Impenetrable defense.
So yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much a wrap. Robert Whittaker, the big finish. Yeah, so that's what he's got, right? I mean, it's Adesanya or bust, right? I mean, I will say this though, man, who's more deserving, Marvin Vettori or Robert Whittaker? I think Izzy might want to sit back and go, hey, could you guys do me a favor? Let's have these guys. I can't decide who deserves it more. I think they should fight each other. You know what I mean? If I was Adesanya, that's the move I'd be playing right there, dude. Because that's a couple beasts on the loose that are hungry. Also, would that not be a phenomenal fight? Vettori versus Whittaker? That is a killer matchup. And I got to be honest, man. I think both stand a phenomenal chance to beat Adesanya if they were to fight him. They've both fought him before, and they've both lost, right? But I mean, it's out there. The blueprint's out there. I was telling people in the first Robert Whittaker-Adesanya matchup, Robert Whittaker, this guy has takedowns. This guy has trained. This guy was asked to be on the Australian Olympic wrestling team, okay? This dude has legit wrestling. We just don't see it because he likes to stand and bang. Blachowicz showed everybody, yo, it's going to be a close fight standing with this dude. put him on his back, he can't get up. If Whittaker goes in there with that game plan, if Vettori goes in there with that game plan, they beat Adesanya, okay? Yeah. And that's how it is. That's how it's always been. Why neither of them chose that game plan in the first matchup, I don't know. But we've seen both men essentially go to more wrestle-heavy styles as their careers have progressed. I think they've both got better. I think that's part of the process here. I can't wait, man. Middleweight is on fire right now. Robert Whittaker absolutely looks to be next in line. If not, it's Marvin Vettori, Adesanya coming back down. It's going to be great. So, Al, we can take a look ahead. What do we have on the horizon? What are you thinking about? What are you looking at next?
I say we just do a quick, as quick as it needs to be of just, do the loop around of the 3 fights that we talked about last week. One thing that I will say, with everything that's been going on with Rose Namajunas and her fight with Wiley Zhang, I honestly, I've watched that Namajunas Jessica Andrade 2 fight. Mm-hmm. Probably watched that fight like 17 times. I think Rose is live in this fight, and I think that she's got some. I think she's got some serious value. Like her movement has gotten so much better.
Oh yeah, where do the odds sit right now?
I don't know. I'll look right now, but the last time I checked, she was like plus 170. That might have changed since the last time I checked. Sheesh. But Rose does this. Rose does this really interesting plus 165 right now, with Zhang as a minus 180 favorite. But yeah, Rose does this really interesting thing, and it's Trevor Whitman, right? High level striking coach, and just like borderline genius, where it's like almost musical what Rose does. Is she does this thing where she'll go like in, out, and then in, 1, 2, out, in, out. And she plays this game the entire fight where she's feinting in and then stepping in 1, 2, and then she starts changing it up and then moving it backwards. She's on a whole other level. Like her striking has gotten. It's like if you go back and look at her in the Rose Joanna 2, which was pretty much a masterclass as far as her level, like as far as like the plateau of she reached, that was like a whole other level. Oh
yeah, for her. Phenomenal.
She's way better than that. If you go back and look at that, watch that Jessica Andrade Rose Namajunas 2 fight from UFC 251. That was, I said that I thought that Rose might have lost that fight just because she took quite a bit more damage. And I watched that fight 17 times. No, I was completely wrong. Like, when I first watched that fight, I had a bet on Jessica, so I was kind of, biased. But in the tape study of going back and watching that, and then also looking on MMA decisions, I think it was a split decision, but every single judge had it for Rose. Every single media member had it for Rose. But yeah, man, that lateral movement and her footwork, her ability to step in and get out and to play that cat and mouse game, that as good as Wiley Zhang and as good of as hard of a hitter she is, she's more of like that. She does that like kind of dancey setup where she's not really light on her feet. She's more like hippie, like kind of like Lyoto Machida almost, like kind of just like she's very lateral, like horizontal, whereas Rose is in and out, just classic like Muay Thai. And this is the thing, is just it's Whitman versus China, basically. Like that's what it comes down to. Like, and I know, Mike Brown was Joanna's coach for the fight against Zhang, and he's on another level. But I noticed that she was trying to get the calf kick going, and Zhang was able to check it, and she was able to it was just a non-factor, and Joanna just kind of got away from it. But yeah, anyways, I think Rose is 5, man. I think Rose has a chance to either win this inside the distance, but if you're betting this fight, I would say don't even bother. Just take the nice juicy plus 165. Otherwise, the best value, I think, if like not looking at a side here, is probably on the fight going the distance, which, obviously that's not a crazy theory, but I think Rose is either going to win this inside the distance or Zhang's going to win by decision. But again, that doesn't matter for me because I'm just going to bet Rose on the money line. And I think she's kind of a dimwit idiot. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter because in the end, she's going to put money in my pocket. It would be the same thing if I thought Jorge had a chance to beat Usman because he's a moron too. But it doesn't matter because we can. What's your opinion on this before we move on?
Man, I don't know, dude. It's a close fight. I think you're absolutely right, though, dude. Like, Rose Namajunas is very good. She's very technically good. You look at the success that Joanna had against Wiley. Rose is kind of a better version of that.
Exactly.
And a little less hittable. So, like, if Joanna was a little bit better and a little less hittable, she probably wins that fight. As a matter of fact, she might have just won it anyway, although she was wearing some tremendous damage and was turned into DreamWorks Megamind over the course of the fight. Which does score a lot with the judges, right? I mean, she was looking bad, you know what I mean? But, dude, Weili Zhang, absolute tank, a monster. I'm a huge fan. She's been an absolute money train for me. But, dude, I'm kind of feeling like Rose Namajunas has a good shot to win here. Yeah, dude, she's got the style that absolutely could cause a lot of problems for Zhang. So it could be an interesting one. So what do you think, Al? Should we wrap it up, or is there another spot that you want to talk about here real quick?
I've noticed a little bit of buyback on Usman. Usman's sitting at like minus 380 right now.
Jeez.
I still think that's it's sky high, but there'll still be that casual money that'll come in.
You're right.
Then I also see right now Andrade plus 380 against.
That's another damn, dude. That's another one. That's an interesting fight. I don't know. Can't wait to talk about it.
But
dude. So yeah, I tell you what though, Al, I know what we do have coming up. Another full week of MMA action. We've got another event of one. Oh man, I can't even break it to Al. I got some good stuff coming down the pipe, baby. Oh, yeah, boy. You know what? I can't even talk about it. But ONE FC on Wednesday, right? Then we have the return of PFL on Friday. It's going to be sick. Anthony Pettis versus Clay Collard. And then we got another UFC. Which one are we? Where are we at, Al? Which one? UFC 260. What is it?
260 Jacksonville.
There you go. Jacksonville, baby, with fans in attendance. Oh, my God. It's going to be going off like crazy, Al. I can't wait. Tons of bets, tons of action coming up. Be sure to subscribe to the channels. You know what's up. Al, tell them where they can find you on Twitter.
Yeah, hit me up just where it says right down there.
I'm the same, man. Find me on Twitter. I'm always tweeting. Best tweets in the game. A lot of people have called me a lot of things. The best man on Twitter, sexy golf bad boy, the greatest predictor in MMA history. A lot of people call me the GOAT, but I keep telling people I'm a dragon. Why? Because I spit hot fire. Al, what do you have to say to the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm super excited. This is another week of madness. And I also just want to say quickly that I'm very glad that this this clown show is now past us, and we can now move on and heal together. Until the next one.
Let's move on collectively. And Ben Askren has gained more CTE. All right, people. Thank you so much. That's a wrap. That's the recap. The clown show, UFC, the whole shebang. We will be same approximate time, same place after these events. Be sure to tune in. Like I said, subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. He's Al Mack. I'm Bleed. Thank you guys for watching. We're out of here.